Hey everybody, I'm Dante Ferrari, and this is Life Edge, where life doesn't have to be mediocre. Anyway, we're going to talk with our co-host, Dr. Susan Nash. How are you, Susan?
I'm great. Great to be here. And wow, it's great to have you as our host.
It'll be fun. I want to talk about your trip, but first, let's do the intro.
Perfect.
And we're back. So, you went to Mexico, right?
I did. I was
And
in
how was it?
Sayulita. It was great. I was in Sayulita, Mexico last week. It's part of the Riviera Nayarit, which is was close to Puerto Vallarta. And it was like, I think the 5th time I've been to Sayulita. I have a really good friend, really dear friend, Miguel Hermosillo, and so I've visited him there, and we've actually had some Life Edge programs that we've shot from Sayulita. The first one, I think it was memorable for the sound of mangoes falling and roosters crowing. But it's just such a wonderful place, and one of my favorite things to do is to go swimming, and I like to just do all the things that are there. But last week I had the chance to meet Pat Wagner, who has lived in Sayulita for a number of years, and she's a realtor. And I thought, I just really, really wanted to get to know what it would be like to purchase something there and actually live and find out from her perspective what it's like, and then things that are happening in Sayulita.
Hey Pat, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Pleasure
Nice to
seeing
meet
you
you
again.
So, how did you guys meet?
I just showed up in the office with lots of questions.
She just walked into the office and said hi.
That's nice. Sounds like something Susan would do. She's a social butterfly.
I'm actually quite shy.
That she proved to be.
So, how is it living in Sayulita?
It's different. It's a step back in time. I was born and raised in Manhattan, then moved north of West Point, then moved to the state of Maryland, and then ended up here in Mexico. So it was a slow transition backwards.
Interesting. How long have you been there?
Oh, go ahead.
I worked for the company for close to 26, 27 years.
Oh, wow.
Well, I have a few questions, and I'll just say the reason that I was interested in meeting you, Pat, is because I'm interested in the real estate in that area. I know that there are a lot of North Americans, that's what they call them, Americans and Canadians, and I have to be honest, the idea of living in an enclave of Americans is like kind of alien to me, but then, I mean, away from the U.S., it's not that I don't live with Americans here, but Oklahomans, it's maybe different. But the whole concept is that it was just so interesting to hear your perspective. You arrived when Sayulita was just a little village and fishing village mainly, and it's changed, and now it's actually considered like a jewel, and one of the coolest, hippest places is regularly called that, and it's even become a Pueblo Magico, magical village. So I was interested in, for example, what you see as the opportunities and changes, and then second, and then basically second, I'll ask you some more things.
The first question you asked was what
I'm
is
sorry,
typically
I just
some of the
I have a bad habit of making rambling long questions, but my rambling long question was what are the things that you're seeing right now, and what is it like for an American to live in Sayulita or to visit Sayulita?
To visit Sayulita, I would say it's a fun experience. A lot of people try, surfing, doing, like I said, the going out on either the Chica Loca or the Alley Cat, which are both of the catamarans in town. Fishing. It's basically water-based. We do have a few zip lines for the brave people. But it's a combination of a lot of things, and people just become very relaxed.
That's one of the things I've noticed from from just absolutely the very beginning. It's just a really cool, chill vibe, and a lot of younger people are there. I'd say a lot of people between, say, 16 and 23 or 24. And then also retirees, too.
Yeah, we have now at this time, I would say we've reverted back to the mid-30s, the people of the mid-30s. Yeah, it's still the bohemian style, not as much as in prior years. And then there were years when there were basically a lot of retirees. That there's the high and the lows, and then they repeat themselves. And some years it's more bohemian, some years it's more artistic.
I saw a lot of people learning how to surf, and I think that one of the things that's kind of unique about the waves at Sayulita is there's a part that's just perfect for learning to surf.
Yeah, there's a part of the beach where the fishermen are, where the surfing schools take the younger children and teach them. And there's a lot of parents here that get the little toddlers up with them surfing with the water below, same as the protections for them. But I've seen little ones out there 18 months, 2 years old.
It's amazing. And then there's a really cool little tiny beach called Playa de los Muertos, and you have to go through like a traditional Mexican cemetery, and then you park and you walk down to the beach, and the water is so calm, and there are buoys and ropes so you don't like swim out, and then they also have some nets so that like sharks don't come in, and it's just, I mean, I can swim laps in it. It's so great.
Yeah, there's many different little coves in the area. You've got the principal beach in Sayulita, then you have Los Muertos Beach, then you have Playa Escondida, then you have what we call Pátzcuarito, and then down south the coast to head towards Liribu and then to Punta de Mita.
That's so cool. Dante, have you been to Mexico or that part of Mexico?
I haven't been to that part of Mexico, but last summer, 2014, I did a backpacking trip through the Yucatan, actually. So that was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to...
Pat, how would you compare the kind of the lifestyle in Yucatan to the area around in Nayarit?
Well, from what I've seen, it looks kind of similar, but I'm assuming it's a little more tropical down in the Yucatan. It's further down there. It's more jungle-like. But I really liked it. I went to Mérida and Valladolid, which is also Pueblo Magico, and I went to Tulum.
Cool.
So I had a really good time. It was cool.
And the pace is slow.
Go ahead.
I said the pace is slow. It's probably slow over in Merida or that side. And here, the pace is slow.
Yeah, I like that. I like the slow-paced atmosphere. It's nice. California's not much faster, but still, I don't know what it's like in Oklahoma.
Seriously?
The funny thing is, though, okay, my experience with Sayulita was that the pace was not that slow, because I do a lot of, like most of my work online, so I was able to use my iPhone as a hotspot, so I had really, really good connectivity. So, I mean, I was just working away, and then we could walk into the town and walk around, and then check out things, and before I knew it, like 3 or 4 days, 4 days, 5 days is over. And I think it'll be fun. Maybe if you're there for like a week or a month, it feels slow paced. But if you're just there for a few days, I mean, you can keep pretty busy.
Well, I agree with you. I think one of the things is it's like any vacation spot. You want to get as much in, absorb as much as you can in the time frame that you have. So you're doing activities and walking around and seeing things. So those are pretty well programmed. And yeah, you fit into an itinerary. But just normal, everyday, the true expression is mañana.
So what does the Pueblo Magico mean to the city, the town? Does it impact it a lot being named a Pueblo Magico?
Well, it's going to bring in changes. You know, it's going to go, as I've seen over the past 25 years or so, that the streets, you know, are going from dirt to cobblestone. The electric company now is putting all the electric lines and removing the electric posts, so you don't have that obstruction. You know, they're trying to keep the history maintained, the slow pace again, but at the natural things. I mean, one thing that I had told Susan that I enjoy, I have 2 girls, we call it, they're the youngest ones, and the youngest one will be 22 this coming January, and the next one will be 25. The 25-year-old has autism. She lived here from the time she was about a year old, and she could go to the store like the other children today still do, you know, with the little bag and the note and the money. Everybody in town knew her. And she grew up, you know, playing in the street with the kids and doing everything everybody else did. She wasn't highly protected. And the little ones here today, now 25 years later, are doing the same things. Little boys sit in the street and they find some dirt and they have a car and they're making pies, and the thumbs aren't moving. They're not doing whatever the toys are that kids use today. They're using their brain play, and they're having a good time doing it.
I was so touched by your story about your older daughter and living in Sayulita, and the fact that she was completely accepted and just brought into regular classes, and that she was invited to birthday parties, and the children were really accepting and the parents were accepting. That really touched me.
Well, we actually moved from the state of Maryland to come here because of the parental acceptance. It's not the children, even in the United States. When Jenny was in an American school for a short period, as I had told you, no child was only born in the summer. Every kid in the class was born in the summer because she was never invited to a birthday party. But when she came here and entered school, there were 9 of them, including Jenny. She was invited to 8 birthday parties. To
That's
me,
so nice.
that showed that the parents were teaching their children acceptance. And I've loved it ever since that point. And I think it's missing from the United States. I think that lesson needs to be retaught.
Oh, I totally agree. Well, and the other thing too, I thought that it was, quite brave of you to move, because for a long time I thought that Americans or any foreigners could not actually own anything, any property, like real estate in Mexico, but I guess that's changed, right?
Well, the system is still the same. It's against the Mexican Constitution for any foreigner to own a piece of property fee simple, meaning in your name. They're protecting their borders, so it's 30 kilometers from any water and 100 kilometers from any border. So they're protecting their borders, whether it be water or land. But what you can do is, which you couldn't do in the past, 25 years ago, you could not do it. Now you purchase the property in a bank trust. So the bank becomes the holder of the property, and you're the beneficiary of the trust. But you can do anything. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can give it away. It's yours to do with as you please.
That's really different, because I remember really liking Los Cabos, and I was like, oh, I want to check this out. And at that time, I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago, you could lease something for like a long lease, but like 99 years or something, but you couldn't do anything with a bank trust and have your name in it in any way. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's opened up a lot for people. They feel more control from the old system. The old system, you had to have a national hold the property and the quote-unquote title in their name. And, people didn't have a whole lot of confidence. They were nervous to have it in somebody else's name. Although this office never had a problem.
Oh, that's good to hear. And you've been working with people with real estate for a long time. I mean, what are some of the kinds of real estate that you work with in Sayulita?
I didn't catch the first part of your sentence, I'm sorry.
Oh, what are some of the kinds of real estate that you work with in Sayulita?
Well, Sayulita is predominantly what we would call residential. The nationals, Mexicans, if they own a piece of property, it's like the old-fashioned mom and pop store. Mom and pop run the store, their children run the store, and they either live above it or they live behind it. So they're on site at all times. So there is no really commercial, even though downtown in our terminology is considered commercial. So it's residential. In the very beginning when I was here, everybody wanted oceanfront, of course. Then it moved back to everybody wanted view because there was very limited left of the oceanfront. So then they wanted view. Then they would accept jungle view instead of ocean view. And then finally people decided they wanted like little ranches or a little piece of land with a little more elbow room.
All those options sound like fun.
They are, they really are. And it's always fun to try to make somebody's dream come true, to hold on to something. And in the beginning, I was always fascinated by, we had a lot of bankers, and they would come in. These guys, I would say, about 45, and they had come from California and had served. So their college days were that someday when they grew up, they would own, be able to go someplace and own a house where they could go surfing. So by the time they were reaching 45, 50, they were making that dream come true.
That's cool. Well, say, Dante, I have a question for you. So if you had any kind of like if somebody gave you, like, money's no object, you could choose 2 or 3 places to go and purchase, like say in Sayulita, what would you do? Would you do jungle view, or would you go surf view or big view, or?
Well, I already looked at the Realtor page for Pat's her place, but I saw one that looked really nice that had just been sold. It was 3 stories. It was kind of on a hillside, and that looked really nice. Having an ocean view, 3 stories, and like a nice patio is always nice because I like to be outside while I'm home. So
Did it have a pool also?
hopefully, I don't know, but yeah, something like that. I don't know, anything with water as a view on the beach. Jungle doesn't appeal to me as much because I'm not a mosquito fan, but but I don't know. I think living on the beach would be amazing. It sounds nice. What about you?
Well, I like the idea of the little ranch with, well, okay, I'll tell you the truth. Okay, I've always had this fantasy of having a place with lots of mosaics and lots of fountains, but in a terraced area. So like inside, like a walled area, and then having like it open up, and just having like fountains and maybe a pool, and then close to water, but mainly close to places where I can wander around and walk and hike.
Yeah,
So
location's
that's to
key.
me, yeah.
Location's important. Close to town.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have that variety of people. Some want to live outside of town and just have, I always call it close enough but far enough away. So they're close enough that they can walk into town or bike into town or to one of the other beaches in the outlining area, but yet they're far enough away so that if they want to get away from the activities of town at night, then they're out in a more tranquil area.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
because I
sounds
think that the
perfect.
activities are fine for a few days, but they do some on the weekends, and have music into the wee hours, which is fun for some. It doesn't bother me that much, but I think it's like it would be more fun to have options to me. But on the other hand, like walking around in like late night on the weekends, it's a happening place. There are lots of music, lots of people playing, but it's not frantic. It's like a relaxed thing.
Christmas is going to be fun. The 12 days prior to Christmas, they have the bells go off at the church every morning at 5 o'clock. So I
Really?
think close enough but far enough away is good for me.
Yeah. Wake up call at 5 a.m.
So like buying property in a foreign country seems kind of intimidating, I feel like, probably to most people. So is it a similar process? Is it a similar amount of time for escrow and like similar interest rates and things like that? Or
No, basically, the real estate market here, why the Sayulita in particular has held its values, which continually rise. We had points in the early 90s where the increase was, 500-fold. Now we're down to a more realistic increase in value. But to answer that, Mexican banks now are roughly approximately 8%. You need 25 to 30% down. They will do a fixed mortgage for 15 years and 20 years. What most people do is they take the equity out of the States or Canada or wherever they have property, and they bring the cash down. And then the process is, yes, you make your offer. If your offer is accepted, then we give it to a notary who's equivalent to a judge in this country, not the same as the States. And then he moves forward with all the documentation that needs to be done for the government. and for the bank. And the bank, interestingly enough, if they don't like the way the papers are written, they will have you totally rewrite them.
Oh, wow.
Is that good or bad?
No, it's good. It's a
Oh.
protection for you, for the foreigner. They don't want loosey-goosey, you know, they want things very tight, very exact, very precise.
Oh, that's great to hear. And so, like, okay, how about if I bought property and I decided to build something? Can I build an actual place, like a cabana or something, and like just kind of take a step-by-step approach and do my fantasy of the tiny little cabana with a bunch of fountains, and for, say, is it possible to do it for less than $100,000? I mean, buying the land is one thing, but I mean just doing the construction.
You're just talking about construction?
Yeah.
Yes. Abel was the owner of the company, was talking to somebody today, and he calculated out that a person could probably build 1,000 square feet of home for about $90,000.
Nice. And that has wiring and good wiring and water and plumbing and electricity and all that.
Yes, everything that comes with a normal house back in the States. They do the
Just
same
wondering.
thing here.
I mean, of course, I'm thinking of my jungle fantasy, a little ranchito, not necessarily something in the middle of town.
Well, the interesting thing here is when we built the house, my husband and his dad had been builders for years in the state of Maryland. So he understood, you know, the footings and this and that, and not I. Anywho, so when he was talking to the contractor, he told him he was going down 36 inches. And my husband said, why? There's no freeze line here. What you do in the States, you go below the freeze line to do your footings. And he says, that's how it's done here. That's how it's always been done here. So you're getting 36 inches. So it's like really an overbuild.
That's good though, because I see that the buildings are really solid and stable. I mean, and I also see that people build in a way that they can continue to build on. So, I mean, sometimes at first I thought, wow, are these houses just half built? But then I came to realize that they were adding on constantly. And that was sort of an interesting thing because of the way that they're built. I mean, you couldn't do that where I am. It's in Oklahoma for a number of reasons, mainly wind and tornadoes.
Well, I think the other thing that's interesting here is that a lot of people see like a half-built house, and they come in the office and they say, oh, how much is that deserted place? Well, that place isn't deserted. Since this is a cash society, the people only had that much money. You will see outside of a half-built house, you'll see maybe 2 truckloads of block or 2 truckloads of brick. That's all they could afford. So they're going to do it a little bit at a time because it's cash. There's no mortgage for the nationals. They don't mortgage it. They do it in cash. So they have no overhead when they're finished, other than their electric bill and their gas bill and water.
It's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and the neighbors don't seem to mind. I mean, I have to say that I'm, typical in the sense that okay, well, at least like I would encourage people like to paint everything and make it kind of look like they're finished. But then on the other hand, why? I mean, it really shows that they're actually building something and it's kind of exciting. So I think a lot of what I like about traveling to Sayulita is that it forces me to to look at things in a different way. for example, chickens. I was kind of like unable to sleep with chickens crowing, roosters crowing all the time. And I thought, oh. And then I saw chickens running around. I thought, avian flu, health hazard. And then I realized, no, it's not actually the case. So, anyway.
It's interesting. I was in Peru this past summer, actually, and I learned that you see a ton of houses with rebarb sticking out of the top, and they're not finished. And I found out that the reason for that is because you don't pay property tax if your home isn't finished. So a lot of these people are living in these beautiful homes with like the top floor is the only unfinished part, and it's just sitting there like that, and they don't pay property tax till they finish it, so they just leave it like that.
It's always good to know the real reasons.
Property taxes here are a blessing, because the only thing that's really taxed is land. You could have the Taj Mahal built on a lot, and it's not based on the construction, it's based on your square meterage or square feet of your lot. So there are oceanfront homes here that their taxes are probably $500 a year.
Wow.
A year?
A year.
Oh, wow.
Well,
That's
in
amazing.
town, the majority of the taxes, I think, are like $250 a year. That's the nice thing about Mexico. Your taxes are very reasonable, like $250, $300, $500. Your trust is $450 to $500 a year. Your water is like $35 a month. Your electric obviously depends on what you use, and the same thing with the gas. So those are your overhead expenses other than food. And, it's just, and we don't have to pay for heat.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We're kind of running out of time here. But if anyone wants to contact your realtor office, how could they do that? They're interested.
The office is called Sayulita Realty, and it's on the web at www.avalosrealty.com.
Okay, perfect.
And before we go, do you have some shots lined up so we can take a look at some pictures of Sayulita?
Yeah, we have a couple. We have them right here. We have them lined
Yeah,
up.
we've got them here. There we go. Yeah, I took this photograph of like a surfboard shop. I took that in October when I was there.
This one is nice. This is
Yeah, I took that in October also. It was on a Sunday. And it was a beautiful day. Lots of people were surfing.
yeah, it tells you a little about the vibe. It looks nice.
Yeah, and I was going to ask too, okay, we have the title of our show, which is Life Edge. And Pat, I was going to ask you if you have any special insights about, in your life, what has given you an edge? Like, what would you consider a life edge in your life?
Wow.
I can answer it for you if you want. At least what I observe from you. And I would say it seems to be a lot of respect for people and in all walks of life and in different lifestyles and culture.
I think the one word is respect. I respect you. I respect, you know what I'm saying? If I show you respect, you will show me respect.
That's so cool.
All right. Well, that's a good way to wrap it up. That's really nice.
Dante, you did a great job.
Thank you. All right. Well, I will
And thank you,
see
Pat.
you
And you
guys
were
later.
fabulous, of course. But I was telling this to Dante because this is his first time hosting.
It is. All right. And here's the outro. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great job, Pat.